welcome Joy friends to this tutorial on the Co-Mingle stitch beanie. This beanie will be worked from the brim to the crown. There will be another tutorial making the Co-Mingle stitch beanie working from the crown to the brim. Okay, to get started today, you are going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a darning needle. You will need at least one stitch marker, and the hook that I'm going to be using is a 5mm hook. And then you want to have something to help you count your rows. I'm going to be using this poppet, but you can use any kind of row counter that you want. And then today, to make our beanie, I'm going to use Nicole Stitch Studio Classic by Nicole. And this is in the colorway soft blue. And this is some yarn that I had bought from AC Moore back in the day. It was normally $7.99 a skein, and I got it for $4.64. All right, so I'm going to clear off the craft table, and then we'll get started. All right, we're ready to get started. So I'm going to push my row counter out the way, and I'm going to push my yarn out the way. And we're going to create a slip knot. And now remember, the slip knot or the loop that's always on the hook does not ever count as a stitch. We're going to make a foundation chain of 9. To do that, you yarn over and pull that yarn through the loop that was on the hook, and that creates your first foundation chain. We're going to do that 8 more times. We're going to yarn over and pull through that loop. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We now have a foundation chain of 9. All right, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see the stitches a little bit better as I'm making them. All right. Now, this is our foundation chain. We're getting ready to start row 1. So on my row counter, I'm going to indicate that I'm beginning row 1 by pushing that in. And to start, remember the loop on the hook does not count as a stitch. This is the first stitch from the hook. We're going to go into the second stitch from the hook. Now, normally when you make your single crochet stitches, or most of your stitches, you usually go under the top 2 loops. And you know you have the top 2 because it creates like this V here. And you can see the space in between them. You see the hook coming through. But we're not going to do that because we're going to work in the back loops only. So when you turn your work sideways, you can see those 2 loops. You can see the front and you can see the back loop. See those? So we're going to start with the second chain from the hook, and we're going to go right into that back loop, just like that. We're going to yarn over and pull that through that back loop, yarn over and pull through 2. You've made your first single crochet back loop for this row. We're going to do that across the remaining 7 stitches. So we're going to come right into this back loop. See, you've got my front and the back. I'm going to go right into that back loop. There we go. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both. And we're going to do that all the way across. Go into that back loop. And I know it's hard to hold because you have nothing to really hold on to. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both. But by the time you get to row 2 and 3, it'll be a lot easier. All right, we're going to go into that back loop only. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both. All right, we're going to go to the next one, go in the back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both. Go into the back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both. We've got 2 more. And we're at the last one. Going to go into that back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. See how I have this little hole kind of right here? See that? I'm just going to take it and tighten it by pulling my tail. This is considered my tail, and this is my working yarn. And I realize I may have some seasoned crocheters with me, but I also realize I may have some crocheters that are new, so that's why I'm going to be very thorough. All right, then we're going to chain 1, and you just simply do that, just like you'd made your foundation chain, yarn over, and pull that yarn through the loop that was on your hook. Now you've chained 1, so it has increased your row height. Now we're going to turn our work, and you want to turn it so that this side over here, which is on the right side, is moving towards the left, okay? Because if you do it the other way, then it twists your yarn. So you always want to move towards the left, crossing over the front of your hook. All right, once we've done that, we're ready to start row 2. So I'm going to mark row 2 on my row counter, and I'm going to pick it up and move it because that was a little loud, pulling it across. And we're going to work in those back loops all the way across, and you can see them a lot better now. You can see those front and back loops really clear. And you should have a little bit more to hold on to, so this should pick up your pace a little bit. So here we go. We're going to go right into this first one. Now this one here is your chain that you just made. So you're not going to work into that one, and you can always tell because it's at the very bottom of the loop on your hook. So you're not going to work in the chain, you're going to work into your first stitch. And remember, we're going into the back loop. Here's the front loop. We're going to go into that back loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay? Since we have 8 stitches on our row, we just made that 1. We've got 7 more to do. So we're going to go in that back loop and create our single crochet. Go into the next back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just doing that all the way across. And this is a single crochet in the back loop only. And after a couple rows, you're going to see that it's kind of making a ribbed edge. I'm trying to get all the little frays. There we go. My yarn was splitting just a little bit. And then here is the last one. Go in that back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through 2. We've completed that second row, and I just like to give mine a little slight tug so it's a little tight on the end there. Yarn over and pull through. That's a chain 1. Now we're going to turn. And now we're going to start row 3. And I'm going to work 1 more row with you. And again, you can see how it creates the V stitches on the top. You've got your front loop and your back loop, and we're working in the back loops only. Again, this is your chain 1 at the bottom of the loop on the hook. We're not working in that one, so we're going to come right here to this first stitch, and we're going to go right into that back loop and make a single crochet. And we're just going to repeat what we've done on row 1 and row 2, doing single crochets in the back loop only all the way across our 8 stitches. And you should already begin to see how it's creating the ridge for the brim of your hat. And go into that last one. And then after you do your last one, you're always going to chain 1 and turn. And now you can start to see the texture forming. You can see that. All right, let's do one more together. All right, we're going to skip our chain 1, go into the back loop, and create our single crochets. And now that you've got something to hold on to, and you can see those back loops really clearly, you should be able to pick up your pace a little bit. But if not, it's okay. We're not in a hurry. You work at your pace and enjoy the process. It's always about finding the joy in it. All right, and we're at the end of that row. Going to chain 1, and remember we're going to turn towards the left. And you can see that ridge starting. All right, I did not mark that we did row 4, but we just did row 4. I'm moving on to row 5. You're going to do this for 62 rows. So go ahead and work in the back loop only of making single crochets in your 8 stitches across until you have 62 rows. And when you have 62 rows, we will meet back up and I will show you how to close the brim of your hat to start working in the rounds. And then after you work that last single crochet in the last back loop only, remember to chain 1 and turn your work towards the left. And now you can really start to see how it's making that textured ridge. All right, go ahead and finish working rows 6 through 62 on your own, and I will meet back up with you when you have completed row 62. Welcome back. We have our 62 rows completed, and you can see I've got my 60-second hole pushed in. So I'm going to grab my work and put my row counter out the way. All right. And here is my band, my brim with the 62 rows complete. I currently have my hook on the left side of the work where I finished that 62nd row. We are not going to chain 1 like we have been, but we are going to turn our work over. So now our hook is on the right side of our work. All right, now we're going to close the brim up. So we want to take the other end and we want to tuck it underneath and bring it up behind. So it's like this. So the side that we're working with the hook is on top, and the other side that we're going to close is on the bottom. Your beginning tail should be on the left side. All right. Now, to close our brim, we want it so that it looks just like the rest of our brim, but we don't want it to look like this is where we created the seam. We want the seam to be so flawless that it looks just like the rest of the brim. So let me show you how to do that. As we have been, we've been working in the back loops. We're going to work in the back loops here, okay? So we're going to start, I'm actually going to pull this yarn behind my hook like that, all right? Because that's how we ended. All right, holding my 2 ends together, we didn't chain 1, so we don't have to skip a chain at the bottom of this loop on the hook. So we're going to go right into this first stitch here. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. And we're going to go right into that back loop on the first side that's on the front in the first stitch. Then we're going to go to the second side that we're closing, and we're going to go into the back loop of the first stitch as well. You now should have 3 loops on the hook. You have the loop you started with, you have the back loop of the first side, and the back loop of the second side. So you can see those 3 individual loops. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all 3 of those, creating a slip stitch. And we're going to do this all the way across. Go to the first side, second stitch back loop, second side, second stitch back loop. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And we're going to do this all the way across. Working in the 3rd one. All right, going in just that back loop of the first side, back loop of the second side, 3 loops, yarn over, and slip stitch through all 3. And continuing to do this all the way across. And when we finish, you're going to see that this little section looks like just the rest. And when the hat is complete, you will not be able to tell that that is your seam. All right, this last one, this last stitch on the back side where your slip stitch was at, your slip knot, excuse me, it might be a little tricky. You might have to pull that knot out just a little bit, but make sure you're only going in that back loop because you want to make sure everything stays the same and is symmetrical. And there we go. And when I move my hook out the way, you cannot see that that is the seam. It looks just like the rest of it. All right, and our brim is joined and complete. All right, now you can take the little tail in and you can tuck it inside the hat. You can also take it and work over it if that's how you like to weave in your end. I like to do mine at the end, so I'm going to tuck mine back inside my hat and do it later. So we'll be doing a total of 27 rounds to complete the body of our hat. To get started, you're going to chain 1, and that just gives you your row height. All right, and then you're going to go to the very first row and go into the top of that stitch on the end, and you're going to make a single crochet. And round 1 is going to be nothing but working single crochets in the end of each row that you made on your brim. So when you're done, round 1 should have 62 single crochets. So we are just working a single crochet in the end of each round. Trying to make sure I get in that stitch. Okay. And the rows with the raised edge, sometimes you have to wiggle your hook in there. But the flat sides are really easy to get in there. And by doing this single crochet round, it's going to make it so easy for us to go right into that co-mingle stitch. So this is kind of like creating the foundation. Again, on the rows with the raised edge, you have to wiggle it in there. And my yarn split. I don't have it all. There we go. And then you can see on the flat edge, it's so easy to go in there. And yours might be easier. I tend to crochet tightly, so it might be just because my tension is tighter that I'm having to wiggle my hook in on those rows. But your tension may not be as tight, so you may be able to get in there a whole lot easier. But we're going to continue doing this all the way around till we get back. Now you do not need your stitch marker on this round because you'll be able to tell when you get back to the beginning. We can easily see that slip stitch right there from the very first one, and we can see our first single crochet right here. But if it's easier for you, you can go ahead and put a stitch marker in right there. And I'm not going to slide it into the slip stitch. I'm going to slide it into the very first single crochet. All right, we're just going to continue working around, creating our single crochets. Now that we know we have 62 single crochets in our first round, we're going to start our second round. And to do that, we're going to remove our stitch marker, and we're going to come into that first single crochet, not the slip stitch that we created at the beginning of round 1, but into the first single crochet where we just removed the stitch marker. We're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, and pull it through that loop, so we've created a slip stitch. And now we're going to chain 1. We're ready for round 2, and we're also going to start our co-mingle stitch. All right, we're going to go right back into that stitch that we just did the slip stitch and the chain 1 in, and we're going to make a single crochet. All right, I'm going to put my stitch marker back in. And then for the second stitch, we're going to create a purl stitch. Now to do this, normally when you yarn over and wrap your yarn, you go across the back of the hook to the front like that. But for the purl stitch, we're going to bring it to the front of the hook and wrap it to the back. Then we're going to insert our hook into that next stitch, and we're going to grab that yarn and pull it through. And when we do, we want to make sure that we're pulling it behind that loop that we yarned over on the hook, so that it falls across the loop that we bring up, just like that. See how that sticks out like that? I'm going to do it one more time. So we're going to yarn over the front of our hook to the back, insert into that next stitch. All right, like that. I'm going to twist my hook just a little bit so I can grab that yarn and pull it through. Like that. And that yarn that I wrapped over my hook, it has fallen across the loop I brought up. Now I'm going to show it to you one more time and show you how I do it. It's the same way, but it's the way I twist my hook. All right, so I've wrapped my yarn. I've insert my hook into that next stitch. All right, I'm going to twist my hook just a little bit so that the hook is facing down so I can grab that yarn. And then as I'm pulling it through, I'm twisting my hook, as you can see, upward. See how I'm twisting it upward? So I can, so I can pull it underneath that. So here we go, wrapping over from front to back, insert into the stitch. I'm twisting my hook so I can come down and grab that yarn. And then as I'm pulling it through, see how my hook is still facing down? See how it's still facing down? I'm going to twist it up so I can pull that yarn underneath that wrap. And that way it's falling across that loop. And then I complete my single crochet. All right, then in the next stitch, we're going to insert, pull up a loop. In the next stitch, we're going to insert, pull up a loop. We now have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to do that one more time, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. We have 4 loops on the hook. We are going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. And we have almost completed the co-mingle stitch. We've got to now chain 2, so yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook. That's 1 chain. Yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook. That's 2 chains. All right. And now we're going to go into the next stitch and work a single crochet. It's now time to do a purl. We're going to wrap over the top of our hook, insert into that next stitch. I twist my hook to go down and grab that. I pull it through and I twist it up to pull it up underneath that loop so that it falls across the front of it. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through. And now we're going to complete this 9 more times. All right, so we just finished the purl stitch. We're going to go in and pull up a loop. In the next stitch, pull up a loop. In the next stitch, pull up a loop. 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, 1, 2. All right, in the next stitch, we're going to work a single crochet. Now we're going to purl. Go over the front of your hook from front to back. Insert your hook. Pull that loop through. Make sure that that loop where you wrapped around your hook falls in front of the loop and around the front of it. You only have 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through. Go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, 1, 2. All right, now go into the next stitch and we're going to work a single crochet. We're going to do a purl stitch, so we're going to yarn over the front of our hook, go into that stitch, pull that loop through, making sure it comes behind the loop that was on the hook that we yarned over, and that way it falls across the loop that we just pulled up, and complete that single crochet. And the next stitch, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, 1, 2. All right. In the next stitch, we're going to work a single crochet. Now we're going to purl. Go from front to back over the hook, insert into that next stitch, pull that yarn through behind the loop that was yarned over the front of the hook so it falls across the loop you're pulling up. Complete your single crochet. In the next stitch, pull up a loop. In the next stitch, pull up a loop. In the next stitch, pull up a loop. 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, 1, 2. All right, work a single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to purl again. Yarn over from front to back, insert your hook into that stitch, pull that loop through behind your yarn over. You got 2 loops on the hook and pull through, completing that single crochet. Insert, pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, 1, 2. All right, work a single crochet in the next stitch, and we're back to our purl. You should be getting the hang of it now, but we're going to yarn over the hook from front to back, insert into the stitch, pull that loop through behind the yarn over so that the yarn over falls across the front of that loop you just pulled up. You have 2 loops on the hook. Just yarn over and pull through both to complete the single crochet. Insert and pull up a loop, insert and pull up a loop, insert and pull up a loop. 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, 1, 2. Insert into the next stitch and make a single crochet. yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. Time to do a purl stitch again. Cross over from front to back of your hook, insert into the next stitch, pull a loop up, and as you pull through, make sure it falls behind the yarn over, so it falls across the front of that loop, and then just complete your single crochet. Yarn over and pull through both loops. Pull up a loop in the next stitch, pull up a loop in the next stitch, pull up a loop in the next stitch, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. All right. Into the next stitch, we're going to work a single crochet, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. Okay, we're back at our purl stitch. We're going to yarn over from front to back, insert into that next stitch. All right, pull that loop through behind the yarn over loop so it falls across the front of the loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through both to complete that single crochet. Insert into the next, pull up a loop, insert into the next, pull up a loop, insert into the next, pull up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2, 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Next stitch is going to be a single crochet, and we're back to our purl stitch. Then the next 3, we're going to insert and pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4, and chain 2. All right, next stitch, we're going to work our single crochet. We're back to our purl stitch. This should be getting easier and you should be getting used to it. Next 3, we just insert and pull up a loop. 4 loops, we just yarn over and pull through all 4. Chain 2. All right. Next stitch is a single crochet. And we're at our purl again. And we're going to insert and pull up loops in the next 3 stitches. 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4, chain 2. And you should be coming around to the end of your second round, and you should have your 2 stitches left, and we're going to end that with a single crochet and a purl stitch. Okay? So just like with Jeannie and Sanita's tutorials on the Co-Mingle stitch and on the headband, you will always start each row or round with a single crochet, and you will always end with a purl stitch. All right, so now we're ready for round 3, and we're going to literally do what we just did on round 2. So we're going to come to that first single crochet, okay? And we're going to work a single crochet. All right, so we're going to insert our hook into that first single crochet, pull up a loop, and slip it through the loop that was on the hook. So we have joined round 2, and now we're ready for round 3. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to go right back into that stitch and make a single crochet. Insert our stitch marker. And if you don't need to use the stitch marker because you can tell where the beginning is, then that is fine. So after this single crochet, we're going to work our purl stitch. We're going to insert and pull up a loop in the next 3. And so when we're done with that, we'll have 4 loops on the hook. Now, let me go back and explain that, because where do you need to insert? Where are those stitches? All right, when you go to insert for your first loop to pull up, okay, this is the opening stitch from where you pulled your 4 loops together on the previous round. So that's where you put your first loop in. Then you're going to go into that little eye that's at the top of those 4 loops pulled together, and that's where you insert to pull up your second loop. Then for your third loop, you're going to insert into what was the chain 2 space, and that gives you your 4 loops on the hook. And then you yarn over and pull through those 4. Do a chain 2. All right. And then in the next stitch, you work a single crochet. And the next stitch, you do the purl. And now we're back to pulling up our 3 loops. You're going to pull your first loop up in the stitch. All right, right here. That created your 4 together, or 3 together, however you want to call it, because it was 1 loop on the hook, and then you did 3 loops together. All right, then your second loop is going to be pulled up into the eye at the top of that stitch. And again, your third loop will be pulled up in the chain 2 space. There's your 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through. And then chain 2. Don't forget to chain 2. All right, in the next stitch, work a single crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to work a purl. All right, we're back to doing our 3 loops. So we're going to insert in the opening from that stitch. We're going to do our second loop in the eye of that stitch, and then our third loop in the chain 2 space. 4 loops on the hook. Chain 2 after you yarn over and pull through all 4. All right, after you chain 2, in the next stitch, work your single crochet, work your purl stitch in the next one, and then pull up your 3 loops. First one in the stitch from the stitch of the 3 loops pulled together, the second one in the eye of those stitches, and then your third loop in the chain 2 space. Yarn over, pull through all 4, and chain 2. All right, I'm going to work a couple more with you. Go into the single crochet, our next stitch, and work a single crochet. Go into the next stitch and work your purl stitch. And then we're going to do our 3 loops that we pull up. Into the stitch, into the eye, into the chain 2. Yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2. Single crochet, purl, and pull up your 3 loops. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2. And we're just going to repeat that. Single crochet, purl, pull up our 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2, single crochet, purl, and pull up our 3 loops in the next 3 stitches. Yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2. And we're almost to the end of this round, so I'm going to go ahead and complete the 3rd round with you, show you once again how to join and begin your 4th round, and then I will let you work from there. All right, next one is a single crochet. Then we're doing that purl stitch. And then we're going to pull up our 3 loops. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2. The next stitch, work our single crochet. Next stitch, our purl. And then we're going to pull up our 3 loops, 1 in each stitch. 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2. All right, single crochet, purl stitch, and now we're going to pull up our 3 loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 and chain 2. And we're almost to the end. This is our last set. Single crochet, purl, and pull up our 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2, and we're down to the last 2. So we're going to work our single crochet, because remember, we'll always end with a single crochet, and the last stitch will be a purl. So every round will be finished with the purl stitch, and every round will begin with a single crochet. So we're at the end of round 3 to start round 4. We're going to take out that stitch marker, go right into that first single crochet and slip stitch, chain 1, go right back into that stitch and work a single crochet, and then our purl. Let me put my stitch marker back into the top of that single crochet, so I know that's the beginning of round 4. Insert, pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2, and then we start again. Single, purl, pull up a loop, pull up a loop, pull up a loop, pull through all 4 loops, chain 2, and keep repeating. Remember, when you get to the end of every round, you end with a single crochet and a purl. A purl is the last stitch. You slip stitch into the top of your single crochet at the beginning of the round, chain 1, and go right back into there with your single crochet. All right, so we have completed 3 rounds together. We're working on our 4th round. You're going to continue doing this pattern until you have completed a total of 20 rounds. Once you've completed 20 rounds, we'll come back and I'll show you how to start decreasing to create your the crown of your hat. Okay? All right, happy crocheting with the Co-Mingle stitch. All right, welcome back. We have our 20 rows completed from the first round to here. And you can see how nice this Co-Mingle stitch is working up. This is your 3 together right here that creates this ridge, kind of like a ruffle, that just goes along well with our brim. But just to count, if you wanted to make sure you have your rows, you can count these little bumps of the 3 together to know. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right, so now we're ready to start closing off the top of our hat. And the first thing we are going to do is our decrease round. And in order to do that, let me remove the stitch marker. And we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet and chain 1. All right, now we're going to work a single crochet in 4 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. So let's go ahead into that same stitch as the slip stitch and chain 1 and work a single crochet. And then I'm going to put my stitch marker back into that stitch. And then we're going to work a single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And 4. And that 4th one is going into that top eye of the 3 together single crochet or loops. All right, or 3 decrease, however you want to call that stitch. All right, so now we need to do a single crochet decrease. All right, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to come into this front loop of that next stitch. All right, and then we're going to go over into the front loop of the next stitch, just like that. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. All right, I'm going to work a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to go into the front loop of that purl stitch, and we're going to go into the front loop of the first loop stitch, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. All right, going into that eyelet stitch, or the eye of that stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4, and now we're going to do a single crochet decrease. We're going to go into that front loop, go to the next stitch, and go into the front loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now we're going to work a single crochet in the next 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, we're going to do a single crochet decrease, go into the front loop of the next stitch, and go into the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2. All right, going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, a single crochet in the next stitch, a single crochet in the next stitch, and a single crochet into that eye of the next stitch. And now we're going to do a single crochet decrease. Go into that front loop of the next stitch, and then the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Work a single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in that eye of the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and now we're going to work a single crochet decrease, go into the front loop of the next stitch, go into the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and single crochet into the next stitch. And then we're going to go into the front loop of this purl stitch, front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, we're going to go into the next stitch and make a single crochet. That would be the eye of that stitch. Next stitch, make a single crochet. Next stitch, make a single crochet. And the fourth one, which is the purl stitch, make a single crochet. And now we're going to do a single crochet decrease. And we're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch, the front loop of the next stitch, which would be the eye of that stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Single crochet into the next stitch, 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 and now we're going to do a single crochet decrease. And we're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch, and we're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch, and mine is kind of tight, so it might take me a minute to get in there. I might have to turn my hook this way to go up in it. I have that one tight. There we go. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, working in that single crochet, we're going to make a single crochet and a single crochet into the purl, single crochet into the next, and a single crochet into the eye of that next stitch. And now we're going to do a single crochet 2 together, or single crochet decrease, excuse me. So I'm going to go into the front loop of that next stitch and the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. Yarn over and pull through the last 2. All right, I have 1 stitch left. So I am going to just go into that front loop, pull up a loop, take off my stitch marker, and then I am going to go into the front loop of my first single crochet from the previous round, round 21, pull up a loop, and then I am going to just do that single crochet decrease. I'm going to let that count as my slip stitch. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to make a single crochet right into that very same stitch. That's now my first single crochet of round 22. So I'm going to put my stitch marker there. And now I'm going to do 3 single crochets before decrease. So that was 1. So in the next stitch, I'll do my second one, next stitch, my third one. And now I'm going to go do a single crochet decrease going in the front loops of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2. All right, I'm going to make 3 single crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to work in the front loops of the next 2 to do a decrease. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2. I'm going to work a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to do a decrease. So go in the front loop of the next stitch, front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right. And next we're going to do a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do a single crochet decrease. Go into the front loop of the next stitch, front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. All right, going to do a single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to do a decrease. All right, a single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to work a decrease. Go into the front loop of the next stitch, the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now 3 single crochets in the next stitches. 1, 2, 3. All right, now we're going to do the decrease, working in those front loops only. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to do another single crochet decrease, working in the front loops of each of the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. A single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. All right, and we're going to do a single crochet decrease, working in those front loops of the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, and yarn over and pull through the last 2. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to do our single crochet decrease in the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And we're going to do the same thing here that we did at the beginning. We're going to work a decrease by going into that top of that front loop of that next stitch, and then the front loop of our first stitch. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, and that counts as our slip stitch. So we're going to go and chain 1 and make a single crochet. And I'm going to mark that with my stitch marker. All right, I want you to go ahead and work the next 2 rounds by yourself. You'll work a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. We've already done the first one. So you'll work a single crochet into the next one, and that'll give you 2 single crochets, and then you're going to do a decrease. And you're going to do that all the way around, 2 single crochets, then a decrease. And then when you get to the end and start the next round, you will work a single crochet and then a decrease. And once you get to the end of that round and you've worked your 1 single crochet and then you've worked your decrease all the way around, I will meet back up with you and we will finish off the hat together. So this round is a single crochet in the next 2 stitches and then a decrease, and then the next round will be 1 single crochet and then a decrease in the next. All right, I'll meet you at the end of that round. All right, we're at the end of round 24, and I have the 1 stitch left. So we are going to work that final decrease into the last stitch and into the first stitch of the round. All right, and we're going to chain 1. Actually, we do not chain 1 there. All right. We're now going to work a decrease all the way around. So we'll go into that next one. And work a decrease. All right. And that creates that first stitch. So I'm going to put the stitch marker in there. And then we're just going to work decreases all the way around. And again, we're working the decrease between 2 stitches. We go into the front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just continuing to do that all the way around. My loop on that one is a little bit long, so I'm going to redo that one. There we go. I'm just continuing to do decreases all the way around. And we're at the very end here. Of round 25. And then for round 26, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to work decrease stitches. Okay. And if you wanted on this round, you could just cut your yarn and weave in at the top. But I do like the way it looks when I continue going around doing the decrease stitches. And it is a little tight. Got one more to do here. And that's the end. And that's the end of the 26th round. All right, I'm going to get my scissors and cut me a little bit of a tail and pull that through. And technically that's our last round of crocheting, but for the 27th round, or what I call the 27th round, I am just going to kind of weave in here and straighten this out and close up some of those holes from where I was weaving in those, or working in those decrease stitches, just to make it nice and tight there. And that's it. And then I'm going to give that a nice tug. And then I like to go down in the center of that little knot and pull my yarn through so it pulls it nice and flat on the top like that. That is the very top of my hat. And then I'm going to turn it wrong side out. And then I'm just going to weave my tail in. A couple of those top stitches there. And then I'm going to skip the last one I came through so I can lock that in. And that is more than enough, but I'm always an overachiever. And I'm going to do it one more time just so it's nice and snug and secure in there. And then I'm going to trim my tail. And then I have to do this tail that was on the brim from where we started. At the beginning, you may have weaved in over that as you started round 1, so you may not have it to weave in. And we are done. Our hat is complete. And we have made a beanie using the Co-Mingle stitch. I absolutely love that. All right, thank you for joining me today. Be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, make your own joyful creations, and remember, you are always loved.